That was dumb. That was dumb. Every tool's a hammer. Unless it's a screwdriver, then it's a chisel.
We need a torch. Hate that nut.
We're not doing that. Because it ain't built till it's overbuilt. Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is the one we've been waiting for. The last video about the bell. This was a project that started out, I thought, stupidly, pretty simple, quickly escalated. If you're just starting here, please, I would encourage you to go back. On my channel, there's a playlist, which is all of the videos about this bell. So it takes you right from the beginning. My videos are kind of long and boring, I know, so it's some of them are kind of hard to watch, let's put it that way. But if you got the time, go back to the beginning, start there. It'll catch you up to speed, and you'll know what I'm talking about here. Today I'm in the Belfry. The work is done. I'm gonna give you a little walk around, show you what we've done here to the bell, and then I'll just kind of roll you through before and after pictures. Let me just start with walking you around, and I'll tell you what I remember about, you know, what we've done, because there's been so much that I may have forgot some things. That's why I say go back and go through the videos. You can see it all. Hey, wait, before we go any further, stop right there. Get down there if you haven't yet and click subscribe, would you? For Pete's sake, click the bell. What's a guy got to do? Tell your friends. In fact, text 2 of your friends right now and say, there's a guy on YouTube you have to watch called The Town Tinker. He's amazing. So there she is. That's the finished product. What started all this was the pivot where the bell swings. When you ring the bell, you pull the rope. The rope is around this wooden wheel. So when you pull it, it rolls, right? And the bell rings. Clapper swings, hits the bell and the baffles and rings. So what had happened was years and years of little to no maintenance. There was these axles, and they were located here originally, and there was a cap over it. So they had just worn, that round shaft had worn to a D shape. You know, it had a flat on the bottom. It made the bell harder to ring. And it eventually would have worn through that shaft. It's about 160 years old, 150 years old, the building or so. So it probably had another 100 years in it, maybe, but eventually it would have worn through. So what I ended up doing, I cut the old shafts off where it used to hang, and I put on larger ones, which allowed me to use these modern bearings that bolted right to the original mounting flange, you know. So that's all, you know, from here down is all original. I didn't have to, you know, cut it up or anything to make it work. So I like that. So that rehung the bell so that it pivots nicely. And then we took all of everything you see that's blue, basically, came down and went to my shop, got cleaned to bare iron, primed and painted. We also replaced, these are leather baffle, and it's got this piece of leather on it, and the ones that were on it were gone, and they were riveted on, so you'd have to grind them off. When I say riveted, I'm not talking a pop rivet. I mean a chunk of steel put in there red hot and hammered over on the ends. So you'd have to grind them off, and then you'd have to rivet on the new one. So I drilled and tapped these, bolted on new leather cushions that a friend of mine made. Did some machine work up in where the clapper pivots. You can see all that in the other videos. My friends, Russell and Joe, they worked together on this wheel. Now, when you look at the before and after videos, this is one of the most amazing parts, really. This wheel was in bad shape, and it had been scabbed together with a whole bunch of other pieces of wood just to keep it together. And even like that, it was still really, really wobbly. Kind of made you wonder how long it was going to stay together. So They replaced these two main spokes and this main spoke that goes across. And they're bigger than before. These all were about this size. Now these are like a full 2x4 size, all oak. And they bolted this all together because it was nailed, and over time the nails get loose, and now we can just check these once in a while, snug them up if we need to, and this should stay serviceable for a good long time. So that's pretty amazing thing right there. I mean, that wheel now, I don't know if any of my videos show how much it wobbled before, but I'm pulling on that pretty good, and it's all sound now. It's in good shape. The base, so the wheel, those guys stain the wheel with like exterior fence or deck stain or whatever. So that I think is pretty well protected from the elements. I did the same with the base, cleaned the base up, stained it. If you look at the old pictures, there was a lot of boards nailed on, scabbed on here. There was some really rotten old boards down in the corners here, the four corners. I cut shims the right size. I made new boards for all four corners, and they're pressure treated, and I screwed them in there with big long timber screws. So, because one concern with a bell like this, when it rings, it's a lot of weight. You don't want this thing to flop over or fall off the side or something. So I was a little nervous about that. So I did that. The four corners, which is similar to the way they had it secured. But then I was still a little uncomfortable, so I made these, because it ain't built till it's overbuilt. I made some straps that hold down. So there's one over there, and there's one over towards this corner. Those are holding it to the beams pretty good. I feel real good that it's secure. I haven't yet stood here to watch it ring, and when I do, if I see much side-to-side movement, I found actually oak planks, old oak planks that were nailed. See that, how that beam is kind of mitered off at an angle? Well, that's because they had a plank here that came up and propped in here, and then they had the same thing on the other side, a shorter plank because it's not quite in the center. So I kept those planks up here, even though I cleaned out everything else, just in case I want to put them back. I may do it just to be on the safe side. I might put those two planks back and say, nothing wrong with having them there. It's going to make things that much safer up here. So the bell itself got scrubbed. Did a lot of, well, not a lot. I did a little research, and it looked like polishing them was not the thing to do because they have a nickel plating on them, I guess. All I did was scrub it. Me and my buddy Dave scrubbed it. There was a lot of paint and stuff that had been spilled on it over the years. Scrubbed it. I sharpened up a pick, and I picked as much paint as I could out of the letters here. Old MN left his mark forever. I think what happened there was cleaning a paintbrush with some sort of a strong solvent and brushed it on there, and it managed to eat right into the metal. Etch his or her initials forever on the bell. So anyways, we cleaned the bell. I put a coat of wax on the bell. That seemed to be pretty widely accepted as a good idea because dirt and stuff won't stick to it as much if it has a coat of wax. Then my favorite part of the whole job was cleaning out. I got a 1-ton dump truck. We took that full, and since then I've taken another half a dozen 5-gallon pails of bird manure, dead birds, straw, dead bats, etc., etc. This floor was built up above this panel here. You couldn't even tell that panel was there, and you couldn't even tell that the floor sloped on the 4 sides. So cleaned all that stuff out and put a coat of rubberized paint down on the floor, hoping that by removing all that stuff, I don't cause leaks because there's areas like this where the tin is rusted through. I think it rusted through because it was covered with straw, which held all that moisture for all those years. But my fear is that straw may have kept the water from soaking down and going, the straw got soaked, but it didn't go through really. And I'm hoping I haven't made a big mistake. Just to be sure, I bought a big piece of plastic, and it's directly below me on the floor of the next floor down, so that if there is leaks, I should be able to notice water on the plastic, and it should not soak through and stain the ceiling in the actual sanctuary. So hopefully that works out, and I haven't caused more harm than good here. I think it's gonna be okay, and if it isn't, I think it's just like 3. There's one over there, there's one here, and there's a big one here. There's 3 main spots. It probably could be patched up. We could cut out a little bit, put in some new flashing. But definitely much cleaner up here, much healthier for people that have to come up. And hopefully people will come up and maintain the bell now. So what we've got is the clapper now swings on a bronze bushing with a grease fitting. We have grease fittings here where this pivots. We've repaired a problem that existed up inside the yoke here that allowed the bell to spin, and it's not supposed to spin. But what it is supposed to do, I've learned, if you Google Jones & Company bell makers, Troy, New York, you'll find there's actually some old documents that tell you how this system works. And you're supposed to loosen this nut once every, 100 years, when you start to see dents from the clapper hitting on the inside, and give the bell a little spin and retighten it. So one thing is on my list. I'm going to be watching for a cheap old 3 1/8 inch wrench that I can just hang on a beam up here somewhere, so that won't be an issue. And if it ever needs to be adjusted, it'll be here. If anybody has a 3 1/8 inch wrench laying around, I'm your guy. Let me know. I'm trying to think of what else we did. Other than the cosmetics, painted up all this ironwork so that that was all bare metal and really quite rusty. But I think that's the gist of it. I think life is good for the old bell. I really have a good feeling. The bell itself, I'm not a bellologist, but the bell itself appears to be in a really good shape. I was nervous when I saw some of these. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it looks like a crack. And there's some here and there. But if you look on the inside, they're not there. I think that was just a flaw in the mold, or it's just like some surface scale that's cracked or something. I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm not a bell guy, but I think it's okay. The bell sounds nice still. I'm going to finish this video with hopefully some good footage of the bell ringing. You can see how that works. I'll see what I can get. I got to remember to put on earmuffs, because I'll bet you it's loud up here. Let me piece together the before and after pictures now, and I'll roll them through on the video here. Here's a mystery that plagues me. These are the things that keep me up at night. It was Jones and Company of Troy. That was the place that made the bells. That's the place that owns the patent up there, 1855. The patent is actually on the process they use to cast the bells. It's not really on the yoke. Although I think there was a patent on the yoke that allows you to turn the bell, but it may have been in the middle of a fight. I think more than one person claimed that. So, but that's not the mystery. That's not what keeps me up at night. What I wonder is, why does the base, both sides, same thing, they took out the word company. It's Jones and Company, Troy, New York. But the bases are cast iron, and in the pattern, before they casted them, they took out the word company. If anybody out there is a Troy, New York manufacturing historian or a bell expert in general, put a comment down below and tell me why. I don't know, this was delivered here in the 1870s, 75, 76. When it was built, I don't know if they kept these things in inventory. They might have had 100 of them laying around. Might have been built in 1863 when the bell was cast. So, but at some point, and for some reason, they went to some effort to remove the word company. It's funny that they left the and sign, Jones and Troy. So it's just kind of weird. If you know, let me know, you know? All right, I guess that's a wrap, guys. The bell project is done. You can check it off the list. I think this ought to be good for much longer than I am. I want to thank you for spending your time with me. I appreciate you. Like I said, make sure you click subscribe. Tell your friends to click subscribe. I want to encourage you to get out in your community and do something good, you know. This particular project really snowballed on me, but you know what? I put a lot of hours in, but it still was worthwhile to me. It still feels good to do it. You don't have to take on something like this. You can rake somebody's lawn or whatever it is you can do. Just get out there and help your neighbors. That's about all there is to that. Again, thanks for watching The Town Tinker. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.